If you find yourself constantly talking yourself out of good things, there's something important to remember here. Because when you're talking yourself out of something good, you more than likely want that thing. But the reason that you constantly talk yourself out of it or you self sabotage is because your brain is trying to protect you. And that's what the brain does. Your brain filters things for you because it thinks that this is what's best for you. Whatever beliefs you have built within yourself, starting since from when you were a child, those beliefs are subconsciously embedded in your mind. So the filters that your brain works with, deletion, distortion, generalization, those filter in and out things or experiences in your life based on what your specific set of beliefs is. So, whatever you believe to be true for yourself, and this looks different for everyone, but whatever you believe to be true for yourself is your own unique set of subconscious rules. Your life, your reality, whatever you see in front of you, is always responding to you. So, whenever you talk yourself out of something good, you get this little feeling of, I want that. But your brain, those filters, it starts to take over again based on those subconscious rules that you have in place. So it's saying, yeah, I know you want that, and that's great. But I'm sorry you can't have that because this right here is what we know. This right here is what's familiar, and this right here is what's going to keep us feeling safe and feeling comfortable. That's why whenever you feel like you're in this comfort zone, it could feel nice and comfortable and safe. But at the same time, you know that you're destined for something more. You know that you want something different or something better for yourself. But you stay confined to your comfort zone because your brain keeps you there. And it's not that it's a setup or anything like that. That's just the way your brain works. So it's almost like in order to overcome that, you need to, and I don't really want to use the term reprogram, but it's like you're rewiring, you're creating a new set of subconscious rules for your brain to use as when it's filtering things in and out of your reality or your experience. So this is, and you know what, really quick, this is the exact reason why you tend to experience the same things over and over and over. Like, let's say that you keep experiencing the same type of situation when it comes to relationships, or you experience the same type of situation when it comes to your career, or when it comes to money, or whatever it is. Maybe it's overthinking, maybe it's anxiety, maybe it's you're constantly doubting yourself. And it just replays the same type of situation or scenario over and over and over, just maybe with different people that are involved or different things out in your reality that are involved, but it's the same loop. That's the reason why that those loops happen, is because it's just following, your brain is following the set of subconscious rules that you have in place for yourself. So that is essentially who you are. It's who you know yourself to be deep down inside. And whoever you know yourself to be, that is your identity. That is what you're embodying. So whatever you embody is how you carry yourself. It's how you end up behaving in your reality. Because no matter how you behave, or I'm sorry, no matter what your identity is, that's how you're going to respond to things. Or if it's a negative situation, you're going to react to it in a specific way in accordance to who you believe that you are. So it's like if something unfavorable happens in your life and you're like, oh my gosh, why does this keep happening? And then you go and tell your family or your friends, yeah, this thing keeps happening. And you keep retelling the story. You keep yourself confined to that specific story that does not feel good, that you do not even want for yourself, but you keep yourself stuck in that story, telling it to other people, replaying it in your mind, overthinking it over or constantly on a daily basis, And you're so consumed in that one particular story that it's feeding your brain information saying, yes, this is confirmation that we need to keep showing ourselves, right? We need to keep showing ourselves exactly this experience because this is what we know to be true for ourselves. So your brain is constantly at work trying to show you, look, here it is again. Here it is again, that unwanted thing. It doesn't know, your brain does not know the difference between, first of all, your brain doesn't know the difference between what's real for you and what is, like these little scenarios that you might play in your head of what if this happens, what if that happens. Your brain doesn't know the difference between those two. So if you're constantly dwelling on a situation, even if the situation was factual for you because it happened, but you're dwelling on it and you're replaying more what if situations that are, associated with that one original situation. Your brain does not know the difference. So you're unintentionally feeding it every time you're overthinking or overanalyzing whatever it is that you don't want, especially when you're doing so in a way that is unfavorable. You're like, yeah, I need to make money. Yeah, but what about this? Oh, I'm on a time crunch. Oh, how would I go about doing that? What do I need to do? What all these bills are showing up in my life. What do I do? You're focusing on the wrong thing. And I know that might not make sense because for the longest time it didn't make sense to me. For the longest time I was like, well, yeah, but I've always known growing up that you need to focus on this thing that you want to make happen, right? But we focus on things in a slightly, what's the word that I'm looking for? Unhelpful way, right? Because, like I said, when you're feeding something, everything is made up of energy, right? When you're feeding something, especially if it's an unwanted situation, you're giving it more energy. But when you take a step back, and this is where it may not make sense at first, but when you take a step back and stop giving it your energy, think of a plant. If you give a plant water and you give a plant sunlight, you're feeding it, you're nourishing it, so it's going to grow. But if you forget about the plant, what happens? It shrivels up. So if you just, and I'm not saying forget about things completely, right? I'm not saying just be like, oh, well, whatever. I'm saying don't feed things that you do not want to grow. Instead, feed yourself because everything is just a reflection of you. You don't have to follow what your subconscious rules are, even though your brain is using those as a way to filter what shows up for you in your reality. You can override that, and that's a point that I was trying to make a while ago when I said about rewiring those subconscious rules. This sounds like it's something difficult, but it's really not, because everything that you experience in your life, whatever beliefs that you've built, whatever conditions that you have within yourself, whatever you've learned, whatever experiences that you've had, that is what is shaping your subconscious rules. But all of those things that you experience in life, it's all the meaning you give it is all based on how you interpreted that specific thing. So I use this example all the time, but I feel like it's just the most common. If you feel like you're unlucky in love, like you've been having the same type of cycle over and over of people coming into your life, everything seems great for a little bit, and then all of a sudden they just ghost you, or people treat you poorly in relationships, whatever it is. That happens, let's say, maybe in high school you got dumped, right? Someone dumped you and it really affected you. You felt that initial feeling of shock, you felt that initial feeling of heartbreak. And what that does, how these loops work, is that heartbreak, that feeling initially that you feel, it sends a signal to your brain. Your brain is like, okay, let's start building out this story around love and relationships. And it's inputting this data into the computer, right? And it's like, okay, this person felt heartbroken when someone broke their heart. They got dumped. So now we're going to associate love and relationships with heartbreak. So when your brain does that, it's interpreting this experience and it takes it in as data. And so your heart then starts feeling like, yeah, relationships are hard. love is hard, and that heartbreak really affected me. So now I feel really cautious because I don't want to feel that again. And so your brain is like, okay, yep, now they're feeling cautious. Got it. And they're entering that into the database, or your brain is. And so now your brain is like, got it. These are entered. This is solid. What happens when you enter things into a computer? When you're entering things on a keyboard and you press enter, the computer runs it through its system, and then it shows for you, it populates whatever you input in the computer. It shows it to you on the screen. That's exactly how your brain works and how it uses its filters to show you things in your life or in your reality that match what you're inputting into the keyboard. So your brain is like, got it. This is our set of subconscious rules, and now your reticular activating system is designed to follow those rules and only those rules, meaning that's what it's going to show you in your reality. So I always feel like I make what I intend to be a short story long, but hopefully you guys are still following me. So if you feel like you are, constantly talking yourself out of things, you need to change your interpretation of those stories that you're telling yourself. So back to this example of heartbreak. Yes, you experience the heartbreak, and that does hurt. I'm not saying, you have to invalidate what you've experienced. I'm not saying that. But what I am getting at here is that your interpretation of that one time someone broke up with you, even though it really hurt you and it may have traumatized you, you unintentionally made it a part of who you are, right? You made that heartbreak and that one experience part of who you are. But what you experience is never truly who you are. It's just the meaning that you placed on that specific thing. But just like you placed a meaning on that specific thing so easily, so effortlessly, you can go in and change the meaning of that experience to mean something else for you. For example, instead of thinking that, okay, this person dumped me, now I'm no longer good enough for relationships, now I have to struggle when it comes to love, now no one is going to love me, or whatever the case is. The meaning you can give that person breaking up with you is, you know what, that person broke up with me. Maybe we just weren't compatible, and that's okay. But that doesn't mean that I'm not good enough. That doesn't mean that I'm not worthy for love. That doesn't mean that there's something wrong with me. That just simply means that me and this person, we weren't good together, and that's okay. Even if I thought we were good, it's okay if they didn't. I still know who I am. I still know my worth. I still know that I'm good enough and that I'm deserving of a relationship that I want. Do you see how those two, that meaning is different from, oh my God, they broke up with me. Now I'm really heartbroken, and now I'm never going to find the love of my life. Oh my God, now I'm not good enough. They made me really feel like I just am not worthy of love. Do you see how those two are different stories? The story that you tell yourself based on your experiences, it matters. And even if you experienced something in the past and you wrote a certain story on it, it doesn't mean that that has to stay your story. You have the power. You're the operant power in your life. No one else is, and nothing else is. You are. So you have the authority to change your story at any point in time. And again, I'm not saying you have to be insensitive or invalidate the experience that you had. Yeah, you had the experience, but what meaning can you give it that is more favorable for you so that way you can change your subconscious rules, the ones that your brain follows, and so that way your brain can start showing you something different. Because when the subconscious rules change from now I'm not worthy of love to, you know what, they broke up with me, but that doesn't determine my self-worth. I am worthy of love. When you stick to new subconscious rules, your brain has no choice but to override the old ones. Because again, you're inputting that data into the computer. So now the more times you input it, the more times you're like, no, I am worthy. I am worthy of love. I am deserving of love. I am good enough for love. Then the computer your brain starts to override the old pattern. So now you're going to be experiencing things that are more aligned, that match to that new subconscious, those subconscious rules. And also, that starts to become a part of who you are now. Because before, you were someone who identified themselves with being unlucky in love. But now you're associating yourself, you're identifying with someone who, attracts the love that they actually want. So, I hope this video made sense for you guys. If you feel like this is you and you feel like you are struggling to, overcome whatever it is that has been blocking you from actually experiencing what you want, if you feel like you've been playing small because you're trying to protect yourself or because it feels more comfortable for you, this is the exact thing that we work through in my mentorship, which is linked in the description. So if you want to work with me, go check that out. That does it for this one. I will see you guys next time. I love you. Bye.